Today, you're going to learn exactly what Tableau Prep Builder is and what it's for. I'm going to explain the licensing, the pricing, the purpose, and at the end, I'm going to do a demo so you can see it in action. So stay tuned to the very end to see that. And before we begin, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you get alerted when I publish videos every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Let's begin. All right, let's think of Tableau Prep versus Excel. The remark I get all the time is, if I have Excel and I've got Tableau Desktop, what the hell do I need Tableau Prep for? Because I can clean everything I need to clean in Excel. Yes, that is true, right? But it takes significantly longer a lot of the times to do it in Excel because a lot of it has to be manually done. What I mean by that is you have to apply formulas row by row. You have to highlight groups and columns to clean them up and do all that kind of formatting. Whereas with Tableau Prep, it treats it sort of like a database or a collection of data, and everything is applied to the entire column, or you can apply things specifically. This will make more sense when we get to the demo stage, right? The other difference between Excel and Tableau Prep is with Excel, now me talking as an analyst and working with a lot of different areas and divisions and companies, all doing different sorts of things from logistics to finance and all that kind of stuff. The process is usually you get data in the form of CSV or Excel or text or whatever, you put it into Excel and you start cleaning it, you start prepping it, right? And basically you have the raw data, you do all the things you got to do, and at the end you have the finished product. You can't see all the steps in between. You only have the start and the end. Now, what I found is when you get to the very end and you need to change something, you have to run the full analysis again a lot of the time, right? Because you have to go all the way back to the raw data. Maybe you deleted a column you actually did need, or you cleaned it in a certain way, or you can't remember how you cleaned it, or it was given to you by someone else who used to work in the role and you have no idea what their methodology was, or you don't understand the methodology. With Tableau Prep, things are represented, well, actions are represented in a timeline. So you can see up here, let me get my drawing tool out. This part up here is really what we call the flow. The flow is taking your raw data and then applying actions to it, things like changing making it uppercase, or taking out certain fields, filtering for certain values, renaming fields, joining it with other types of data, unioning them, aggregating them, doing pivot tables, right? You can do all those sorts of things, and you don't have to do them in serial. You can do them in parallel, meaning you can have multiple outputs from the same raw data set, right? Which again, we'll explain in more detail and you'll see it in the demo. And once you've done all that, you end up with an output. And that output is a CSV file with a final result, or you can go straight into Tableau by using a hyper file. And let's say you have your final visualization. You're like, oh, actually, I need to include this field, or I should really connect this data to another piece of data, but I need to clean that too. You can come back in here and you can just modify things inside, right, without having to rebuild everything. Now, let's say you've built it and the same data comes in every day. You just come in here, you press that play button, and it runs the complete cleaning cycle for you. You don't have to do it again every day. So you can automate a lot of your procedures. And the amount of time save you can get from this can be anywhere from 20% if it's really complicated and you can only build it in stages, to complete automation. So I'll tell you a really quick 20-second story. When I was working at a company I was working for, when we finally got this software, I automated so many things that I got about 6 hours of my day back. And it meant I can output multiple things to different people in one go. A lot of the times when you're doing analysis in Excel, you have to do an analysis, give it to one person, do a different analysis, give it to another person. You can automate each of those steps so that when you press play, it gives it to like 10, 20 different people, all in the way that each individual person wants it. So a fantastic tool. We'll get into the details later of what all this other stuff is and all the representation. Let's talk about Tableau Desktop. A lot of the times when we're cleaning, we don't actually know what it looks like as a final result. One of the benefits you can have with Tableau Prep is as you're actually designing it, you can preview in Tableau Desktop. Now what this means is you can take any type of data up at any stage in your cleaning cycle and send it to Tableau Desktop, do some visualization, do some checks, do some assessments, and if you're happy with it, you carry on with your analysis. So it's supposed to work very well with Tableau Desktop. Some people are gonna probably comment below and say, oh, I'm just gonna get Ultrix. Ultrix is so much better as a data cleansing tool. Now, if you've never heard of it, it's kind of the same in Tableau Prep in the data cleansing part. You have flows, you have, you know, these kind of prepping sequences, but it does way more things. It does predictive modeling, geospatial analysis. It's a whole different level of analysis. So I really wouldn't put them in the same group. I am a massive Ultrix fan, but they are really not in the same group. Tableau Prep is sort of like the tiny little 2-year-old cousin, you know, that you have, and then Ultrix is like an adult. Like it's super mature. It does way more things. So it's just a different level. Now let's talk about pricing and how you get it. Well, you're gonna think, oh well, I have to buy another package and then I have to buy add-ons. No, you with Tableau, you never have to do that kind of stuff. The way Tableau works is it's all inclusive. So if you've already started using Tableau Desktop and you probably would have bought a Tableau Creator license for $70 billed annually. Now this was as of the end of 2020. It already comes with Tableau Prep. So when you get a serial number, when you buy Tableau Creator, you take the same serial number, you put it into Tableau Prep, and it's working straight away. Right? So you don't have to pay for anything extra, comes with the license. All right, now that we've covered off some of the basics, which I will repeat in subsequent videos and stuff, depending if people have questions or comments or anything like that, let's get into the demo. All right, we're going to start the video exactly where we start every single one of my videos, which is let's go through the data set. Now, with Tableau Desktop, a lot of the videos I do, the data is already clean, all right? But in the real world, when you start working professionally, very rarely do you ever get a clean data set. Now, even if you do get a clean one, in those rare occasions, you still need to transform it. You may need to do further calculations. You may need to filter it down to what is important, especially if like you're thinking about a career in data science, you need to do a lot of data preparation, getting it into a certain structure so you can actually run those algorithms if that's where you're going in your career. In this particular data set, I've actually introduced some errors. So for example, you'll see errors, formulas breaking down. I'll show you how to fix those. You have fields with just nonsense in them. Sometimes they're just empty fields from a long time ago. You have dates that are, you know, labeled differently. You have trailing spaces. Maybe you have different variations of how names are spelled. Like for example, Austria, you got an example there. How do you clean that up? You have order IDs where maybe you need to split them up. And then lastly, we've got, I think this column actually is pretty clean, but we can assess that and see what it's actually made of. Now, with data, a lot of the times as well is we have to merge them together. We have to join them or union them. And sometimes it could be data from heaps of different places. But for our demo, we're just going to use two sheets from the same file. And what we're going to do is we're going to join this data, well, actually join this data and bring this manager information in to this one. So instead of doing indexes and VLOOKUPs and all that kind of jazz in Excel, I'm going to show you guys how to do it in Tableau Prep. So let's jump into Tableau Prep now. I've got an empty one right here. And the way you load up data is very, very simple. You grab your file, and actually what we might do is we'll probably close this. Let's close that up. And let's bring this into here. And that's it. That's how you load up your data. Just drag and drop, or we can just press the plus button and load up data, very similar to Tableau Desktop. And the first thing we always do is we want to bring in the data we're going to be cleaning. So our one is sales. There we go, and it just takes a few seconds to read. Now in this first page, it basically asks you what data you want to bring into this analysis. In our particular case, we want to bring everything in, right? But we can always tick them or untick them based on what we want to keep or what we don't want to see in our analysis. And going back to kind of the intro I had, Tableau Prep is all about flows, right? So we're going to do our first part of the flow, which is a step. And a step can be anything. Formulas, cleaning, filtering, you know, all sorts of steps you'll do in order to clean this up. So let's do a few examples here. The first thing was the profit to sales ratio. So you can see that it's actually cleared them out, right? Actually, I should probably explain the structure. There's three main parts of Tableau Prep, right? The first part is your timeline. That's where you kind of see an overview of all the steps that you're taking in order to perform your clean. This middle section works very similarly to the way filters work in Excel, but if you don't know what that is, I'll show you. The very bottom part is the table of data itself. So this is the most granular view, I guess you can say. So for example, category 1, right? If we wanted to see everything that exists in category 1, we can go over to category 1 right here, and we can see these are the unique values in category 1. So we can see tech appeared 108 times, furniture appeared 134 times, supplies, which is probably office supplies, these need to be combined. Technology and tech need to be combined. Well, to combine them or give them the same name, all we do is we can click one, click the other, right click, and group. That's it. So now they've been given new names and they're all called technology. We can do the same thing for office supplies. Group them. And we can see office supplies and we can rename this. There we go. We've already cleaned up that one section. The section on the left, just here, you can see the ordering date. Remember, in the detail, we had it called all sorts of things. Thursday, in words, the month was in words. But Tableau Prep is very smart in that it can read all sorts of variations of dates and reprocess them so that they're actually reading as properly formatted dates. So you can see them all here. I don't even have to do anything there. Let's have a look at these three columns. You can see that in this one, it's just completely empty. This one, it has a few values, but I mean, it's not really giving us any value in terms of contribution to the analysis. So we can actually just right click here and remove it. All right, we can do that one by one and remove the last one. Now you may be wondering, it's like, oh, actually, after speaking to my manager, those are actually unique identifiers. How do we bring it back? Well, it's very easy. If you click here on this little triangle thingy, right, it records every step that you do, every click of the button, every time you filter something, and it'll actually tell you, we did those two group and replace, right? We can see it over here. We can see that we combined them. So it has a track record. You can actually see what you're doing and someone else can see what your steps are, right? And as we go through, you can actually go backwards and forwards in time. So if I click here, right, you can see it changing and appearing, reappearing. So let's say this one, we actually didn't want to get rid of that, which is this, which one is it? Field 2, we can actually just delete it. Right? So it's very easy to go backwards and forwards and change things. Let's say I wanted to recalculate this profit to sales ratio, right? So how do you do calculations? Well, very easy. There's a button right here. And we can go, we can call this actually exactly what this is called. So we can go profit to sales ratio. And when we press enter, it's just going to replace that entire column. So we can just do, let's say, profit divided by sales, and you can see it's already finding it. And I forgot to do the first one. And we go save, and now we have values. So you can see here in profit to sales, it's actually showing me the distribution. So a lot of the values are actually between 0, 0.1 to 0.4. But if I want to see them as individual values, I just click here, go into detail, and I can see them as individual values. I can sort them highest to lowest. I can see 0 appeared 29 times. So it's really easy to see what your data set is made of. So if you're given a fresh data set that you've never seen before, this is a fantastic tool to be like, what is actually in here? What's going on a large scale, right? Let's do a few other things. So don't worry if you can't retain or remember all this. This is just purely a demo. I'm going to have heaps of videos that explain each one of these elements in their own video, right? So when we're talking about aggregates or text cleansing or grouping or fuzzy matching, all that stuff, there's going to be individual videos for that. So don't worry if you don't remember it. This is just a demo. In terms of labels, let's say, I mean, this country is not spelled correctly. We can just double click, spell that, all right? We can see we've got all these like additional trailing and leading spaces. What we can do is we can just go in here, clean, trim spaces, right? And that'll clean up the whole thing. We can see that there are some that are spelled similarly, Italy. Instead of going in individually and trying to find them, we can actually just go in here, go clean, Oh no, sorry, not clean, group and replace. And we can go by, let's say, which one did I use? Spelling maybe? All right. And every time that there's a little asterisk in here, oh, not asterisk, a paperclip, it means it's combined two things that are very similar. So you can see Belgium, Belgium. It's very intelligent software. So Italy, Spain, I mean, it's cleaning. I didn't even have to took 2 seconds, right? And we go done. And again, if I'm not happy with that, I can go backwards and forwards. Let's do one last thing. Let's say the order date. Let's say I wanted to split this up, right? I can split them like text to columns kind of thing. Split, I can do automatic split. Tableau is very intelligent. You can find what's actually the delimiter, right? And it'll bring it all the way here to the beginning, and you can see it split the letters and the numbers straight away, right? And let's say my this analysis that we're doing, this particular flow, a colleague of mine said, Jed, I only need 2017 data. All right, so how do we filter? Well, it's very simple. We go 2017, we right click and we go keep only. So what you'll notice if I go in my drawing tool, we have about 1,000 rows in here. And in 2017, we have 235. So when I filter, right, if I go keep only, it's only going to show me those 235. You can see that value has now changed. And he goes, I only want ES value. So we can go keep only. And he goes, and I'm not interested in anything where the profit is positive, right? So we can do a value filter. We can go range of values. And we can say it has to have a minimum value. Or actually, we'll just do range. We'll set this to 0. Done. All right. And then maybe, yeah, we'll probably leave it there because this is a demo. And let's go into here. And what we're going to do is we're going to output the file and go add output. We can output this as a hyper file or a CSV. And straight away, we've done heaps of of data cleansing. Now, where does the automation come in? Well, let's say I've got this sales data, and this is data up until today. And next week, I got to do the same analysis, but with fresh data for the week that's just passed, right? All I have to do is, let's say, I'm going to use this as an example, right? Let's say this is next week's data, right? And I want to replace this. Well, how do I do it? I can just delete this, and then I can just reconnect. There we go. And we can get rid of this old one. And when I press play, it will execute all the same cleaning, right? I don't have to build it again. It remembers. But let's say that week, another colleague of mine is like, hey, Jed, listen, I need a different analysis from that same data set. Well, let's do that. So what I can do is I can build or I can branch another flow, right? And I can do all sorts of other types of analysis. So I'm going to add, just as an example, I've done all sorts of steps, and then I can output that one as well. So when I press play, each one will run separately and then output 2 files. So last thing we're going to do is I'm going to show you how easy it is to do joins. So joins is a big deal because one of the problems you'll get with Microsoft Excel, especially when you start getting bigger data, is that VLOOKUPs just take way too long, right? They take a really long time. So what we'll do is let's bring in the manager's data. Right? Okay, we can see we got category T and manager. Let's have a look at what's inside. So we can add another step. Okay, we can see that these are all the different variations. And what I want to do is I want to connect this to the sales data using category 2. All right, well, how do you do it? You're probably thinking, are we going to write some code or some formulas? Nah. Let's grab this one. And what you do is you hover over here, right? What you're going to join it to, and you simply drop it in join. It will reorganize the layout nice and clean. And here you tell it, let me just zoom out a bit. Let me just go back here. All right, let's make this a bit bigger. When you do joins, it gives you a full explanation of what's actually going, a visual representation. Now, I write SQL for a living, and it's not always easy to see what's going on, right? In here, it tells you I'm joining 2 fields. Everything is color-coded. I've got my purple, right? I've got my orange, right? And it's telling me I'm joining on these 2 fields. It's telling me there's 1,000 rows of data in the orange, there's 17 rows in the other, and when I join them, there's 1,000 results, which means I'm not having any values that aren't included or excluded. But let's do an example. Let's say in here, I've got accessories. And in this one, well, accessories didn't really exist, right? And the way we can do that is we can simply add a step in between. So you can add steps as you go along. And what we're going to do is we're going to go all the way to the right. We're going to look for accessories. We'll do a few of them actually. And we're going to exclude this from the data. So this is just to simulate what happens if your data doesn't completely match, right? So we'll go back to the join. It updates in real time. And straight away, we can see that three values in the purple don't exist in the orange, right? But let's say I wanted to keep these purples. Well, I can just change my join type like that, right? I don't have to do inner join, left join, full outer joins, from clauses and all that stuff. I can simply just click or deselect, and it will instantly change how I join. And I think I've done too much there. Right? And I can instantly change how I join. And then from there, let's say that's someone else's analysis, I can output again, right? I can join things right from one to another. I can union things, and it's just so responsive and so easy to use. So what we'll do is we're gonna leave it there because I don't want to go into too much detail and freak you out, but this is very easy to use. I have taught people who used to work in like logistics in the warehouses that didn't really even use computers for a while, and they struggled a lot with even the basic Excel to clean up their information. So when I showed them Tableau Prep, within probably 3 or 4 days of just some basic training, they were able to get going and actually start building really cool solutions. So without spending too much time on this, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe to the channel. Drop me a like to help me with the YouTube algorithm. Turn on the notification bell because I publish videos every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And that is it. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you next time.